Ready?
I'm ready, man.
I feel like at least some ways maker. Anyone got a good whistle? Hello, everybody.
Welcome to the Bird Club.
Welcome to the ranch, the Catalyst Ranch. I'm Dean. This is Chicago Meteor Meetup. As you know, if any of you are not here for the Chicago Meteor Meetup to hear about Facebook, React, and Meteor, well, hope you enjoyed the pizza. Our special guest tonight is Gerard Suchet from Differential, and we're going to be talking a little bit to warm you guys up about atmosphere packages. I know I said I'd be talking about my experiences with testing. We'll touch on that a little bit at the end, but first I want you to get set up making a package. How many of you have made a package, whether you've published it or not, to Atmosphere? Raise your hands if you've made it. Okay, so if you are ready to make this a hands-on event, you all will have made your first package tonight. How's that? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll explain why I think it's a good idea to do that. So I'm on Twitter at Chicago Grooves. I work for OpinionLab. My company, OpinionLab, sponsors this meetup. Thank you, OpinionLab. Thank you. We are aiming to build a team. So if you're interested, send me a line. And it's all right with you, I'll begin.
Yeah.
So cool. All right. So let's see. I do have to do some screen movement here. All right. So this is our first time doing a broadcast of tonight too. So just so everyone's aware, also that we're broadcasting this. So thank you for dealing with the technical difficulties. So I have the not enviable task of giving a presentation on packages without making any inappropriate jokes. So wish me luck. I'm going to really, what am I saying? Everyone loves getting packages, right? Whether it's Christmas time or whatever your reason. And every part of the development ecosystem has its own package manager. Right? Does anyone know a developing environment that doesn't have its own package manager? I just learned that Python has one too. In fact, they've had one for a while. So Ruby Gems, NuGet, Bower, NPM, and of course for Meteor, Atmosphere. What are packages? So this is kind of a vote thing. Who thinks packages? There's not one right answer, right? But raise your hands if you've used a package because you were looking for a thing that could do a specific task. Okay, what's an example of one of those tasks? Account sign-in, right? So someone's got this nice package for account sign-in, or it's an API integration. The first thing you do, right? Meteor search package name or go to App Store and look for a package. So everyone, I think, is familiar. You get very quickly familiar with that type of development package. What about this? Things that you build because you didn't find something to do that. Meteor is a young ecosystem, right? So you're looking for a Redis package, and maybe you find one, but maybe it has a few major bugs. Because I need to get around to fixing that. Maybe I'll make my own. There's a lot of things that fit in the crack because you build it because you either didn't find one or you found one, but you have a different way of thinking about it and want to put your own stamp on it. Maybe you just are making a free time and you just like make packages day and night to put out in the community to help others. Who's in that camp? Everyone loves getting angry issues. Actually, I'm glad you raised your hand. What do you have a package you make?
Yeah, there's like a million carousels out there, but I couldn't find any in React. So,
okay. So you have a React carousel. That's very cool. Oh, for NPM. Okay, yeah. So sometimes you just want to like scratch an itch and fill it away to maybe it just works for you. But I don't know. How many people use packages as a way to structure the applications they build internally? Ah, we got one. Why do you do that?
Modularity.
Modularity.
Or I guess just makes it easier to change stuff later.
Yeah, I feel the same way, but I noticed that a lot of people coming to Meteor don't necessarily have that viewpoint. That's fine, because you don't have to. You can get a package off the ground, you know, throw in some subscribes, some collections, and keep going, and you will have a functioning application at some point. But I want to paint a picture of a world that's just based on adding packages, you know, building your app and taking things out. So let's talk through a kind of thing that you might be asked to build at some point in time. And this is part of the new Meteor forums. If you haven't been to forums.meteor.com, it's a really neat place. I think they kind of want to take all Stack Overflow and do it in forums. It's pretty nice. So here's somebody writing about Meteor Flux. And let's say that this feature that we're writing, let's say that we have something like Telescope, some sort of logging platform. And what we're trying to do is, see that link to Flux, how it counts? I think it's counting how many times it's been shared. For the sake of this discussion, let's say how many times it's been clicked on or how many times it's been shared. So your starting point is a blog application. You want to add this feature. Okay, so what are some things that you'll need to do to have this feature? Is there any server-side component to this feature? I think so. I think if you didn't have a collection that tracked counts, you're going to make one, right? And you will have some keys and lots of collection-related stuff. Maybe when somebody clicks on this, you're going to call a server-side method. So maybe you're going to make a method that encapsulates this thing was clicked on. And there's probably some client-side functionality to this. I mean, you could open up an existing template that you have that renders this page and just kind of hack it in. But what if you instead decided that you're going to load after this page has loaded, and you're going to change things that that match? You're going to do some client-side chicanery, right? And yeah, I use the word chicanery. And you're going to load after jQuery, right? Well, jQuery is just always there, right? But what if you could explicitly say load after jQuery? Anyway, you see where I'm going with this, right? You're going to be in one, let's say that you commit this in one commit. You're going to be touching files on server, touching files on client, maybe opening up existing files, and you're just going to be all over the place, right? Oh, and not to mention the fact that you have to add this into an existing app that's pretty full of features and looks kind of like this. There's your app. So where are you going to fit this feature? Oh, I know, there's some room here. I'll just stuff some things up there. It's actually, I've moved a few times, and I'm actually kind of impressed with this truck. I mean, look at it really use the space to the best of its ability. But yeah, so then you'll tuck this stuff in, and then what if you broke something? You just need to pull out the feature you just added, right? Oh, just reach in and grab that Lowe's box and just pull it out, right? So is that kind of like what apps look like after a while? So I ask you this: how do the pros do it? Who are the pros? Well, the pro movers, right? Or think about Federal Express or UPS who deliver packages all day, right? You figure that if anyone has got this thing down to a science, they do, right? And let's ask this guy how he does it. Yeah, I use packages. What? What? I mean, look at my truck. I mean, it's beautiful, right? I need to pull one out. I pull it out. Oh, not only that, everything's in boxes, right? And it'd be inconceivable that you try to remove a box from this truck and it's magnetically bound to 2/3 of the other boxes, and you pull it. I mean, there are no invisible forces acting in the packages, right? They're just packages, and that's why you don't even have to know what's inside them, right? You just add them or take them out at will. So that's how the pros do it in this world. And how do the guys from Meteor develop Meteor itself? This is a graph I generated of the various dependencies inside of Meteor. It's a little bit cut off. I'll send you a fuller version of that. But each one of these is a package. So Blaze. Well, what does Blaze have? Well, it has a dependency on Tracker. And if you just pull in Blaze, you're pulling in everything that it depends on, right? And look at this little guy, Tracker. It doesn't depend on anything. He's actually like one of the most depended upon things. So if he were, a package in a truck, he'd be all the way in the back of the truck, right? Everything else, stacks on top of it, and you very seldom have to change the tracker. That's made, it's done, it's reliable. So how do you do this? Why do you do this? Well, first, how you do it. I think I've answered why, right? It's the difference between this and this. That's why. How you do it, well, let's look at a package manifest. I know the font is very small, but this is right out of Meteor's GitHub repository. And I'll point out that every package does not have to be published to Atmosphere. You can just have a packages folder in your app and then name each package and put a package.js file. So that graph that you saw, I'll read you some of these things. So what is Blaze? What makes Blaze what it is? Well, here's the description. And then here's what it exports. Blaze, this capital B Blaze constant that you get, that's how you get it. You also have UI.register helper, etc., and handlebars. So this is what it provides. And then this is the list of things that it uses, including jQuery, tracker, underscore, and each line on that graph that you saw is one of these API.use commands. So you see, Blaze will always have everything it needs because it tells you what it needs. It asks for what it needs. And when the Meteor packager thing is doing its job, ISO build, it figures out how to pull all that stuff together. So also, the things in this truck, you think about the ordering of them, like you bet your bottom dollar FedEx trucks don't leave without the route being figured out in advance, and the packages are loaded in the order, in the reverse order of what they're going to be delivered. So even though I showed you that crazy looking graph, that graph also can be ordered. It's called topological ordering. And you kind of load from the bottom up. So tracker, which has no dependencies, has to be loaded before reactive R. And when you require space bars, it pulls in all of that stuff. So from packages just simply declaring what they need, you have tools that can figure out ordering. And how about that? So dependency cycles are bad, right? You don't want to have a package that depends on the two packages that mutually depend on each other, right? Because which one loads first? So that's a whole other topic. So have I convinced you? You want to make a package? Sounds too hard, huh? Well, this week I posted something on Crater that should make it a lot easier. And I think it'll take everybody about 5 minutes. And yes, I want this to be a hands-on component. If you need paper towels, wipe your pizza grease off your hands, they're here. Please, all who are inclined to do so, I want to hear a lot of clattering of keys, go to package-kitchen.meteor.com. And I've even, typically you want to have something in mind, like that you want to build. I've even thought of like a simple example that you can, let's see, we're not exactly on screen. That's why you guys got to go to this on your screen. So this is what it looks like. You have to just choose a few parameters of your package. So let's just say you want to add a new logging function, right? You want your name, like take your first name. And you say, I want to write a package that when somebody calls my first name as a function, it writes it out to a file. So go to package-kitchen.meteor.com. And I will shut up so you can do that, and I will wait for questions.
This has nothing to do with Meteor Kitchen.
Oh. Yeah, there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. There's the Meteor chef. There's a guy who made something called Meteor Kitchen, which also kind of kickstarts your application. Let me see if I can show you that. Okay. So please feel free to go and write your own package. I've pre-filled this, right? So all you have to do is explain who you are on Atmosphere. That's if you're going to publish it, but it's typically a prefix. Like I said, my alias is Denis. And yet on GitHub and Twitter and everywhere I'm another name. And so that indicates where it will be put on Git. And I'll name it my name, right? This is a package, my name. That's how you install it. And before I fill this out, I just want to explain that as you fill this out, it reactively, writes your package, including whatever files you need. And then you can just click Download Package as zip, and then there's your kit. You just need to download it as a zip, unzip it to the local packages directory of an app, and then you do have to say Meteor add, your package name. It has to be listed in the packages file of Meteor for it to get picked up, not just be in the local packages. So what will it do? It will say my name, and you could put up a demo site. I just added that field because a lot of sites do have, demo sites. So I'm just writing it into the README, right, so that you can see that. And then, is this going to enhance the client or the server? Well, see, what changes is this package specification says where to add your files. Either add them to the client, or add them to the server, or add them to both locations. And then let's take away that JS hint. I just kicked that off for you. Then this is going to be a function that says console log Dean. And you see it's kind of made a best guess of what variable to export. And so, typically what you do is you write some code, and the code just goes in a file in one of the directories, client, index, or shared, and it's exported. And that's how this package provides a function to the outer environment. And so I mentioned testing. Here's where testing comes in. TinyTest is the testing framework that Meteor internally uses, but Mocha is a testing strategy you can use for packages that just recently came out, and it's awesome. So you can select Mocha. The Percolate Studios people, I believe, made that.
No.
No, not the Percolate Studios?
No.
Okay. Who did that? Yeah.
Respondly did it.
Yeah, that was Mad Eye.
Yes.
That's who
it was.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Oh, cool.
I think that's what it was. At least they brought it in. They didn't write about it. Brought it to me.
Yeah, they brought it in. So then you choose your testing strategy, and if you run without tests, that's legal. And then that's it. You download the zip, and running your tests depends on how you chose, which framework you chose, TinyTest or Mocha. But it's very straightforward and simple. And you can, once you download this, put it into your app, you can run the tests for any package in your app. So that is pretty much the package kitchen. Any questions? Anyone see how to close this up in an app, Ben?
How would you suggest people learn more about packages and the structure of the package.js file? Like, how did you learn it? Did you learn it by reading the docs or just reviewing other people's packages?
I did start by copying and pasting packages, basically duplicating packages that were already made, that already worked, and just changing their source files and stuff. And then once I had one that I made that I had gone through a couple of revisions of, I started copying and pasting my own. And then I realized, wow, things like this, or the name of the package, they appear everywhere. And it's, kind of tedious to repeat them, and so I just made this generator to kind of simplify that process. But I definitely started by copying other packages. And then docs.meteor.com, it used to be all undocumented, all of this stuff, but it has improved. So it's a little bit better as far as publicly documented.
Where would we put the assets? Like, let's say that I want to add, I don't know, bourbon or something like that.
So there's two, that's a good question. Is it where do you add the assets to your package? So now, bourbon, you mentioned something that might be found in another Meteor package. So if you can just find another Meteor package.
No, I know. I'm just thinking what I would like to package, what would be super easy without kind of going to, maybe some CSS framework or something like that.
Right. So first, if you want to like enhance an existing urban package or CSS package, you want to enhance an existing package, you still write your own, and then you say API.use that other package. And now, by depending on your package, someone is pulling in what you wrote plus what the other package wrote. There's some tricks for doing that, and I'd say look at the documentation for details. But the other part of the question is, so this is how you depend on another package and pull it in, but API add files is where you add CSS, GIF, resources that you want to become part of the bundle that Meteor generates.
And in the square brackets is the kind of folders where they would, it's a kind of search path for them, or?
It's where, so like, if you're loading an image file, and you have an asset subfolder of your package hierarchy, you'll load that only on the client.
Okay.
And then server, and then I believe maybe Cordova is another setting. It's all the major Meteor environments. It's how you target a file to.
For example, if I wanted to add a font file, let's say that's like super simple, I would put some in shared, right? I would put maybe assets folder, put it there, and just include it here, and that would work.
Yeah, but if you want to include a font file, make an assets folder.
And then just find, right?
Yep, API.add file. So everything has to be explicitly added. If there's nothing implicit that gets proven. Yeah, good questions. Good questions. Yeah, so picture a future of packaging and just adding and removing. If you're, going to pull in some mapping-related functionality, you could depend upon the mapping thing and then write your own code. Maybe you could try next time making a package that pulls in the mapping thing and contains your own code. Just one example use case.
And you always have to test them. How do you debug them? In a real app, obviously, right?
You can test them by running their own private test suite, but it's become a typical pattern that you'll include an example real application with it. And so when you go and fork this on GitHub, you'll see that the contents of this URL are in an example folder in this gem. So this is not yet a package you can add to your app and make packages in place. It's just, it's a package that has an example folder, and the example folder is on. So cool. Yeah, man.
How do you recommend adding private packages that you want to use in a multitude of your apps privately? Like, do you do submodules, symlinks?
Symlinks have worked for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll talk to you more about that.
Oh yeah, that's what I was asking because there's
so
options.
what you can do is have a local directory. You have 3 applications, and you have a local directory that's parallel to those applications. And then inside the packages directory of each one of these, you can have a symlink, but then I don't know if that works when you deploy it. I actually haven't tried that.
You can deploy with some links. Meteor figures out.
Okay, it figures out to add it to the bundle. And that makes sense because it's listed in the Meteor packages file, so it's got to find it from somewhere, otherwise it would die. All right, great. Thank you very much. I'd love to talk to you about this a little bit more. You can, get a refill or something, and then we have Gerard, who's going to talk to us about Facebook and React, which a lot of you are here for.